Welcome back to the Rules of Engagement. Before we jump into our third segment, I remind you guys, if you're interested in getting education in the game design or esports fields, go ahead and check out Full Sail University. Go to www.fullsail.edu/MLG. More information on the programs in game design, audio engineering, video production, 3D animation, all these cool different aspects that you can really, once you master, you can use those to get yourself a career in the game design industry. Full Sail University is, of course, the official education partner of the Major League Game. Our third segment is going to be on fast expanding in Protoss versus Protoss. So first we're going to talk about a general build order and a couple key things to keep in mind if you want to do these fast expansion builds in this matchup. Then we'll talk about how to defend a Blink Stalker attack, then also how to properly execute a Blink Stalker attack. So we'll start this replay off at the 4-minute mark. And State is going to be doing a fast expansion in PvP. So we're going to say a couple things. The most important thing is if you're going to do a fast expansion, what to look for with your scouting probe, right? So we're going to actually just put this in. You want to look for, okay, how much chrono boost is there saved? How many workers are mining gas? And very importantly, how many pylons are there in his base? If he's mining a lot of gas and you only see 1 or 2 pylons, maybe it's a proxy Stargate. If you see all 3 pylons, you're usually pretty safe in assuming it's not going to be proxy Stargate. If he's not mining much gas and has a lot of chrono boost, it's probably going to be gateway pressure. If he's mining a lot of gas and has a lot of chrono boost, it's probably going to be a Blink Stalker attack, or it could be chrono boosting out Stargate units from his base, right? But it's going to be some tech or tech basically based build, right? So the most important thing to scout for really just proxy Stargate. That's really all you care about. Is he potentially proxy Stargating me? If he is, I have to get some extra defense to make sure I don't die to a single Oracle, because your first units are going to be just sentries, right? So something else he's doing is he's setting the Mothership Core over to the right side. Typically, an Oracle comes in from this direction. So if it comes in, the Mothership Core can give you a little bit early warning. You might be able to warp in a Stalker or something else to help you defend against that Stargate-based attack. Now, another question is, if I'm just getting sentries and the Nexus, right? How do I stop him if he just makes a bunch of Stalkers and goes and kills me? Well, the answer is you don't really defend a Nexus, right? Once it gets up, you photon overcharge it. If they do some crazy fast 4-gate, you lose the Nexus. What you do is you keep the Stalkers off the edge. If he moves in, just force field the ramp, you keep force fielding the ramp. And you're going to hold your main, you'll be on one base with Robotech versus a player who's one base on pure gateway tech. And of course, they might best do a contain. Then you have to break it with, War Prism or go to Blink or get, a Colossus or an Archon. Either way, though, you should not die to a gateway attack. You have to sack the natural. Make sure you keep the sentries alive and constantly force field that ramp. Of course, the next thing we do is hallucination. We see, okay, is my opponent, is he expanding? Is he coming to one base? What's his tech path? And you use the hallucination about the 630, 640 mark. That's the point in time where you already know if they're gateway pressuring you because they'd be attacking you. If they gateway attack you after that point, you just warp in more sentries as needed. You have photon overcharge on a Nexus. Not a big deal at all. Now, when he goes in here and he scouts the fact that it's a 4-gate Blink, right? It sees 4 gates in it. Blink been researched. This is when he knows he has to defend this Blink Stalker attack. Now, the most important thing to do against a Blink Stalker attack is keep your army together, right? That's more important than almost anything else. He probably could have delayed that photon overcharge. Actually, didn't need to use it that early. It's kind of a little bit of an error there. But if you split your army up, remember Blink Stalkers are more mobile than you. If your army is split in half, they can attack half of your army, pick those units off, and not attack the others. The second most important thing to do against Blink Stalkers is to keep those Immortals alive, right? Make sure they're not exposed. If your opponent's going to focus Immortal, they better be running into your army risking damage. So you see how his units were split up? Top can go ahead and take advantage. The second thing, these Immortals, right? Let's actually talk about where they should be. You have to think about, okay, if my opponent focuses the Immortal, where are his units going to be? Make sure the Immortals aren't exposed. So right now, this Immortal, right? If top wants to focus it now the Stalkers, where are his Stalkers going to be? They're going to be right here, right? In a line like that. That's not that good for you. Because think about it this way. Which one of these Stalkers is really going to die when it's focusing that Immortal? You're just going to have general counterattacks that can blink back as they're being focused. It's not too vulnerable. Ideally, the Immortal is going to be right back here, right? If it's back a little bit further, what can it do? It can still attack 1 or 2 Stalkers, right? It can still launch its attack and hit the Stalker here. But the Stalkers up here, they have to run forward to attack it. As they run forward, all of a sudden they're going to be focused down very quickly by the rest of your army. So make sure the mortals aren't in the front, they're not exposed. If they're exposed, they'll be focused down without risk from your opponent. Now, when you're executing a Blink Stalker attack, that's what you look for. If you're looking from Top's point of view, right? We're gonna watch this from Top's point of view. His priority is as follows. One thing, he wants to make sure that he's not trading Stalker for Stalker. His opponent is going to be ahead of him in economy, right? By about almost 50% in mineral income. So if you're trading equally Stalker for Stalker, that's not good. But your Stalkers are worth more because you have Blink, so you should be to trade favorably. Next thing you want to do, make sure you don't lose Stalkers. Because each of your Stalkers is so important because you don't have a lot of economy, make sure you don't lose any. The third thing, if you ever find a mortal exposed like this, focus them down, right? If you can put your entire Stalker army on one immortal without having to use an offensive Blink, that's huge. You focus them down, you defensively Blink back whatever Stalker is being focused down, and you're in good shape. He only lost one Stalker there, the rest he was able to Blink away, only losing shield damage. A very low cost-efficient engagement, you see that? Already he's killed twice as much as he's lost, just from finding an opportunity where, again, the units are split up. They're split up, you Blink up, focus one down. Boom. Easy. And then if an Immortal's exposed, see right now this Immortal's not exposed. If he wanted to attack it, he'd have to Blink onto it. If he blinks onto it, he gets trapped by force fields. Probes come off the line, all of a sudden it might get ugly, right? So prioritize not losing Stalkers. You only have one base economy, you can't replace them well. Don't lose Stalkers, make sure you're very cost efficient. Then, if your opponent doesn't have too many units, you can Blink in and try to finish them off. And then here, just focus, remember, on defensive Blink micro, right? Keep the mortal count low. If the mortal count is low, your Blink Stalkers can be microed much more effectively because there's not so much damage coming out of them. So you can just make sure you don't lose any of those Stalkers, right? You can go ahead and preserve them. Mortal count low, defensive Blinks are two things to focus most on. If you're cost efficient, you're going to win. If you're cost even, you're going to lose because you're being outmined by your opponent. So look at this. Does he Blink on top of this Immortal? No. Why not? If he did, he's got 11 Stalkers. His opponent has 6 in an Immortal and a Zealot. If he Blinked on top of the Immortal, focuses down, it might be a pretty even engagement. But if he doesn't Blink on top of the Immortal, he just focuses on defensive Blinks, he's going to come out ahead. Now, if the Immortal's in the front, you focus it down. If it's in the back, unless you have overwhelming advantage, don't Blink onto it to kill it. If you can start a step forward and focus it down, that's great. Because if you start a step forward, focus it down, you still have the Blinks to do defensively, right? He's not missed a Blink there, but the general idea is look at that. You can still do the defensive Blinks and avoid losses. That's always a priority. Another situation where, I mean, he's traded so efficiently here, and he's killed enough probes. They're actually at an even economy now. The army advantage to the top, and he's going to go ahead and close out another minute or two. Basically, the game's over. So, the two things important. One, three things important. If you want to fast expand, be careful to scout for Stargate play. An Oracle can ruin your day more than anything else. Make sure to keep your first sentries safe, as they are your solution against early Stalker pressure. You force field the ramp, photon overcharge your natural, and you're safe. So make sure to keep the sentries alive and scout for the Stargate. Now, also, it's very, very important to keep the Immortals alive. If you can build up 2, 3, 4 Immortals, Blink Stalker attack is not going to work just because there's so much damage coming out of them. They're going to melt like butter. But if your Immortals get picked off, all of a sudden they can use defensive Blinks very well and avoid losses. So make sure to keep those Immortals alive. Keep them where they're not exposed in the battle, at least until you get a lot of them, and then you can afford to lose a couple. And as the attacker, focus on defensive Blinks. When you do this Blink Stalker attack, you're not going to be ahead in total army value. Yes, they built a Nexus, but you got a Twilight Council, you got Blink. You're going to have roughly even armies. They're going to have better economy, so they can reinforce faster than you. Which means if you're trading evenly, if you're just trying to kill units and you're losing units, you're both losing units, you're going to lose because they can replace faster than you. The focus is on killing some of their units for free, not losing anything. So always focus on defensive Blinks. Focus down a unit if it's exposed. If you see a Stalker open, take it out. If you see an Immortal that's a little bit exposed, take it out, but always focus on those defensive Blinks to keep your army very cost efficient. This wraps up our third segment of Rules of Engagement. We'll take a short break and be on to the Q&A.